Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing the exhaust. So I'm guessing this is going to be a full part because it's going to take a while. So this is the passenger side, just fitted it up, and you can hear that. So and she's mounted pretty solid. Remember, this is going to have a gasket, so it's going to sit out even further. It's hitting just there. So just got to take it out again, just knock that section in a little bit with the hammer. And if you've seen Engine Master's videos on hitting extractors with a hammer, you'll know that that means absolutely sweet fuck all. And then we'll see if it's hitting down there. Might need to smack that in just a smidge as well. And then that's it. The driver's side is going to take the bulk of this video. It's probably going to be a bit of cutting and welding in that one, I'm going to say. As for mounting them, looks like it's almost made for it. So the exhausts just end right at the gearbox mount, which is going to be real easy for the exhaust guy to make a bracket off that and then continue on with the rest of the system. So all looking pretty good. Sick. This is a bit better. They got plenty of clearance around there now. When I say plenty, about 4 mil. So enough. Can always bash them a little bit more when I take them off, because I'm going to have to take all this out anyway. So it's just all test fitting at this point. Underneath, it's pretty close to the chassis rail, probably again 5-6 mil, but enough. So I'm happy with that side. So now I've got to put the car back on the ground and move it over, because I'm right up against the fence here. And I can take the steering shaft out, take the starter motor out to gain a bit more clearance, and then I'll start working on this side. Sweet. So this side's all done. It's all looking mint. I just had the car on the ground. I just looked at these exhausts, and it turns out that they come in 2 parts and they actually go like horizontally, sort of thing, vertically, sorry. So I've got the front section on, and it's hitting the chassis rail, but it looks like I could actually hit that with a hammer and get it to clear. And then the rear one, same thing again, it hits the chassis rail. So you have it sort of in that position, it's just hitting the chassis rail again, same sort of spot. So if I hit these a fair bit, I should be able to get them both to fit actually, which is pretty awesome. Pretty happy with that. Well, I've hammered it just about as much as I feel comfortable with. As you can see, the merge collector there, she's getting pretty tight. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as I want to go with this. I mean, I still want to make some pretty good power out of this, and I don't really want to be doing this twice. So I think the time has come, unfortunately, to chop it and move it in. I've got to move it in about 10 mil. So yeah, if I chop them here, I'll be able to re-weld it on. 10 mil is pretty much as far as I can go due to the radius there. So fingers crossed that works, otherwise it's going to be full custom jobby. There is one of the drifter boys makes a header kit. You got to weld it to yourself, but it all fits up, so that's the next option, but I'd rather not. So yeah, unfortunately I've got to cut it and weld it, so it'll be testing out my fab skills, but I want it to fit nicely, so got to do things properly. While I'm quickly here, just show you, I'm sure last time you guys saw the workshop it was an absolute shithole, so having a bit of an improvement. Still got work to do, but got a drill press, got my welder, got my bench, which is full of shit at the moment, bench grinder, storage, parts washer, and another bench. So she's getting there. Right, well, time to test out my fab skills. It's probably going to be pretty average. Okay, so I've chopped this one off the headers. So I just chopped it flush with the header, and then knocked out the actual bit of pipe that was still in there with a hammer and punch, and then clean them all up, and then they just slip in there like so. And because obviously got about 6 mil of plate here, just chopping them off and slipping them back in gave me enough clearance. So you can see now I've got a pretty healthy amount of room between the chassis rail and I can, because it's not welded yet, I can jigger this around to how I want it, and then I'll tack it on the car in a few spots, then take it off and weld it. Now I'm going to have to probably chop the bottom there because it's kind of heading towards the gearbox, bit of a funny way, so I'll have to chop that at the merge collector and then put just a straight bit of pipe in there probably. But I'll make it work, so that'll be the next exercise, making that mend up to the rest of it. But I'll do the same to the rear, try get them to be pretty good, mock it up a bit more with the second piece, see if I can make it work, and we're in business. But not too hard, not as hard as I was expecting, so awesome. Okay, so I've chopped both headers off, slipped them into the manifold flanges. I'll set them up more or less, I think, where they need to go, so you can see the clearance between the chassis rail is pretty decent. The clearance between the steering rack and the exhaust is pretty small, but being more or less solid mounted should be okay. I will have to tweak that power steering line because that exhaust is way too close, but I should be able to bend that down a bit more, so that's not a problem. Steering rack between the actual steering rack itself is pretty good. It's probably about 15mm or so. And then the chassis rail again, pretty good. Starter motor clearance, not a problem at all. Doesn't come anywhere near close. So now what I got to do is roll the car forward, jack it up, and I'm going to fit the sort of front pipe slash dump pipe section of the extractors because it's got to marry up to that. So this section here, I've got to slip that on and then just unbolt it off there before the cat. Slip that section on and just prop it up to where it sort of needs to sit, and then I can weld it on in the car. Okay, so I got the full exhaust system all mocked up with the dump slash front pipe set up. It's resting on a jack. So now it's time to tack it together. Okay, so I've tacked the exhaust together. So I just laid a few tacks on top. And obviously because I was welding on the top, it did pull it up a little bit, so it is a little bit closer to the chassis rail currently. As you can see, she's fairly close, about 4mm or so. So what I'll do is I'll get it in the vise and I'll weld the bottoms first, and that way it'll pull it back again. Okay, so let's get it on the bench and get welding. Okay, so both manifolds are done. Alright, I just had to face them a little bit with a file. I probably might get them milled as well, see how we go, but they are a little bit warped. Yeah, I'm not the best welder in the world, but welding them on the bench, you can't weld them all in one hit either. Got to move them all around and stuff, and plus tacking it on the engine, so it doesn't look too fantastic, but it'll be nice and strong anyway. I hammered and punched the pipe so it's sort of flush with the manifold. This one was my first one. It's pretty yuck, but it'll do the job. In the engine bay, I've removed the fuel lines. I just got to remove that hanger, and I've put the feed line up the chassis rail, so sort of see it there, run it along with the breather for the fuel tank, and then the line just comes to here. So have the feed line run up there along the firewall, because the feed on the LS1 is on the passenger side, and then the return system, I'm probably going to have it down the back, so I won't have a return line running at the front, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to do that just yet because LS1's returnless, so I can do the whole returning pressure regulator down the back, or I can do it up the front. But I'll see how close my exhaust is to all the fuel lines, because it's pretty tight around here. I'll just hit this down a bit as well, so I should have enough clearance there now, but we'll wait and see. And I'll just take off that filter holder and then I'll fit them up, see how we go. Alrighty, so it's all mounted on now. So we've got the manifold all done. Clearance is pretty decent. See, I've got a fair amount of room between the power steering line and the exhaust. Lots of room under there. There's no fuel lines or anything running here now, so we're all clear in that regard. Going under the car. We've got our clamps. Got one facing that way and the other one faces up. Do it up from the top. So the clearance is pretty small, but it's enough. Parts run under. Pretty close to the car. Not really going to get any higher than that. And then it just dumps out pretty much flush with the other one. So the rest of the exhaust system will get made by someone else. It's not really my forte, as you can probably tell by my welds on the manifold. I'm not much of a welder, but does the job. But for the rest of the exhaust, I'll get it done a little bit nicer than what I could do. So that's the exhaust, guys. She's all done. Engine bay is getting a lot more full now. So next up is the radiator and wiring, drive shaft, a few more bits and bobs to go, but it's getting pretty close. Stay tuned and I'll see you later.